Hey my lovelies, this is Moira Hair and welcome to my channel. I'm going to be doing weave installation today, so just watch me as I slay this client's hair. I hope you enjoy. And the first thing you do is to ask the client where they want the pattern or if they even want a pattern. Once you clarify that with the client, the next thing you need to do is leave enough hair out because we're doing like a leave out weave today, and luckily for me today this client has a lot of hair at the top to cover up the tracks. And then the next thing you do is to leave hair around the edges. I like to do this for two reasons. Number one, it takes the pressure off the client's baby hair in front, so there's no pulling. And the second thing also is that it makes the client's hair look more natural. So if they need to hold their hair up in ponytail, and just to give it a bit of versatility, really. So it's always best if you're doing a leave out, I think, to leave hair around the perimeters of the client's hair. Some clients don't like this. So again, this is a conversation you need to have with your client to see if this is what they prefer. But all in all, if you want that nice, slick, natural look, it's always best to leave hair round. The next step, so we're going to begin with the weave now. So I tend to use wool on clients' hair only because I find personally it's less itchy. But again, if you don't have wool, any synthetic hair braiding extensions will be fine. Just for your information, do not braid any client's hair for weave without any form of extensions. I think it's really dangerous for the client's hair because most people's hair is quite delicate. So when you braid their hair and install the weave, the pressure on the hair itself will probably make their hair break when you take out the weave. So I always advise to always use any form of holding extensions. In this case, I'm using the wool. It just keeps the client's hair solid. It lasts longer and it just takes the pressure off the client's hair in terms of when they brush the extension, so you don't have a lot of their hair shedding at the end of the day. So I kind of just braid the hair in and tuck it at the back, as you can see, just to give that nice flat look. And then we start with the sewing. And my client has two bundles of hair. I need to try and fit this in. So yeah, so you can either start with double or single at the bottom, but just make sure that when you get halfway to the top, you reverse back to single or stick to single, because we want that flawless finish at the top. And using double at the top won't give you that result that you need. So you can either start off with single or double, but once you get to the top, make sure you stick to single. When you begin to sew your track, it's always best to sew 3, 4, 5 times at the start. You just secure the weft, because that weft stitching at the beginning is what actually secures and holds it firmly for the rest, like an anchor for the rest of the stitching. So the one at the bottom and the one at the very top, those are the anchor that you need for holding the stitching to last longer. And I just sew around, and when I get to the edge of the client's hair, I fold it flat and stitch it again 3, 4 times, however is needed, just to give it that security, and then I go around again as I'm doing in the video. So if you're doing 3, 4 bundles of hair, maybe even 2 as well, try and place the weft as close to the previous sewn weft as much as possible, only because it gives enough room for you to have weft go in to the rest of the hair, especially if you're doing leave out like I'm doing now, because if you see, I've left quite a lot of hair out for the client's hair. So we don't have that much hair to sew on in terms of the cornrows. And in this case, I'm using 2 bundles of hair, but because I'm trying to fit every single hair in, I'm trying to sew as close to the previously sewn hair as close as possible, so we have enough room. Because once you get to the top of the hair like I am doing now, you don't want to be that close to each other, because you want that flat look, if that makes sense. And then this is the very last one I'm sewing at the top now. If you notice, I'm trying to sew it as close to the beginning of the cornrows as possible. The last thing you want is to leave so many gap between the client's cornrows on their head and their leave out. And you want to sew it as close to the leave out as possible, so that when they wash their hair, or as the new growth starts to grow out, there is no much demarcation. So you want to it as close as possible, like I'm doing in the video. So just watch. And just be careful here, because obviously we are at the very top of the cornrows. Be careful not to poke the client's head. So yes, this video is being fast forwarded, but I will say take your time here and make sure that you don't poke the client's head and it's stitched down properly. And this very last bit here, I tend to sew a few more times, just to make sure that it's secured, like I did in the beginning of the sewing at the very bottom, if you notice. And what I tend to do, if I've got extra thread, I tend to just sew over and back again, just to give it that double stitching at the top. Again, when the clients tend to like wash their hair, you want to make sure that it's secure at the top so that it doesn't move back. Sometimes with the texture of the client's hair, if they wash their hair, it tends to move back. And that's the end result, really. You see how nice and slick the hair is. It's flawless, it's flat, it's got volume, but at the same time, it's nice and flat. This is the end result, and this is what you want to try and achieve. The hair looks good. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is my first really tutorial on this page. I'm going to do a lot more. So if there's any tip, advice, comments, please leave in the comment section. If you need to ask me any other question, please leave in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate. Have a good day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.